Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for your attendance today at this special event. Unfortunately, this is not the type of award ceremony we like to give, but it's the reality due to the times we live in. With that said, I would ask that for everyone's safety, you please wear your mask, and at the end there will be an opportunity for you to get pictures with your family. Before we start, I'd like to recognize my senior staff at this time. Would you please stand? Assistant Chief Scarlett, Deputy Chief Stunkel, Deputy Chief Dodd, Deputy Chief Moomaw, Commander Pickford. Additionally, I'd like to take a moment to thank the Executive Awards Committee for making this possible. While they're not here today, I'd like to thank Illinois State Police Deputy Director Felix Canzaneres, U.S. Marshal Brendan Hefner, retired Springfield Police Department Detective Brian Johnston, Sangamon County Sheriff's Captain Rodney Vokes, Lincoln Land Community College Professor Tara Walk, and FBI ASAC Shannon Fontenot. Additionally, I'd like to recognize the hard work of the Springfield Police Department's Internal Awards Committee, along with Sergeant Jared Maddox, Officer Brandon Golden, Ryan Miller, Officer Michelle Ah, Holly Schmidtke, Heather Bosey, and Catherine Chi for their efforts in organizing today's event. It is with honor, pride, and humility that I stand before you today to recognize some of the hard work of the men and women of the Springfield Police Department who went above and beyond in calendar year 2020. This past year marked the 180th anniversary of the Springfield Police Department. I'm proud to say that our department has been providing quality service and protecting the citizens of Springfield for that long. Last year was like no other. From learning to police in a pandemic, to civil unrest, mask mandates to COVID-19 outbreaks, officer safety to calls for police reform. Many of our employees fell victim to the virus, along with their family members. However, each of you stepped up to serve while other professions worked remotely due to the danger. As we recognize these officers today, let us not forget the 374 brothers and sisters from around the country who made the ultimate sacrifice in 2020, including 242 who died of COVID-19. Each year we take time to recognize our officers and our employees for their efforts the previous year. These officers and employees show dedication to our community, to our profession, by representing the department and themselves in a positive light through their actions and efforts. A job well done is not for recognition. It's work ethic. It's service, pride, dedication. As we honor these officers today, it would be a disservice not to recognize the quality work that occurs every day on every shift, in every division, and every unit of the department. Oftentimes, the difference between award winners and nominees is the slimmest of margins. These are difficult decisions, and I thank the Executive Awards Committee and Internal Awards Committee for their time and effort on this difficult task. I ask, in what other profession does one ensure that they kiss their spouse goodbye, hug their children a little tighter each day before they walk out the door, where the last words they hear are, "Be safe and come home"? As officers, we see the sin and the evil in society on a daily basis. We witness when no person should have to. We deal with people at their worst during crisis, knowing we can't make everything all right or everyone happy. But what we can do is be fair, impartial, and do our best to bring about some type of positive resolution. We can listen, offer help, solutions, and advice. We can't fix all that is broken, and that's okay, as long as we give our best effort. We also see the best in people. When people do the unthinkable, when strangers become friends, offer help, and all they have to those suffering in a time of need. When the Lord works through them, works through you, to bring about a peace and comfort. We do this job, live this life, not because we have to, but because we want to. It's in our DNA to help those in need. In fact, I believe it's a calling from above. It takes a very special person to be a police officer, one who is intelligent, can communicate, is adaptable, can make sound decisions under pressure, exercise extreme patience while showing humility and respect for others, knowing that his or her actions and decisions are being recorded and will be scrutinized after the fact. We expect them to be role models, relationship builders, mental health providers, problem solvers, crime fighters, legal advisors, etc. They must provide emergency medical treatment and make life or death decisions in split seconds. And through all of it, we expect them to be above reproach while being human. Yes, this is a high standard and a tough task, but you know what? We get it right the vast majority of the time. You see, professional service is our personal commitment. It's not just our vision statement. It's not just words on a wall, but how we carry ourselves and represent our department and our community on a daily basis. In these challenging and evolving times of change, it is becoming more and more difficult to find those individuals with the courage, the strength, the desire, and the moral compass to step up and serve. Police officers are a special breed, ones who run toward danger and evil, while others run away. They are selfless, giving individuals who don't ask for much in return, but ones who are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice if need be. Yes, they are special. They are everyday, real-life heroes. They are our neighbors, our family, and our friends, and I'm proud to know them and honored to serve with them. At this point in time, I'd like to call PVPA President Don Edwards forward, please. As we begin the awards ceremony, when I call your name, please come forward to Donnie. At that time, he will give you your award. I'll step forward with a certificate, and then we would ask you for you to stand in front of the ESPN board here for a quick picture. First award this afternoon is the Civilian of the Year Award, to be presented to the Springfield Police Department civilian employee who has exhibited strong work ethic, willing to go above and beyond one's job duties. Michael Gardner joined the Springfield Police Department in May of 2012. He wasted no time in proving his value. Coming from a law enforcement technology background, he was quick to familiarize himself with the job duties assigned to him by the Springfield Police Department. Over the year, these tasks have continued to grow, and his depth of knowledge of the Springfield Police Department's computer-aided dispatching system, the RMS system, and mobile dispatching programs. His skills have reached every technological corner of the Springfield Police Department. In 2020, SPD began to transition from uniformed crime reporting to National Incident-Based Reporting, NIBRS. Mr. Gardner was assigned and unexpectedly to Mr. Gardner was expected to regularly interact with the United States Department of Justice and representatives of other federal agencies, as well as go above and beyond working with Tyler Technology New World. This required a great deal of technical know-how and troubleshooting at all levels. He continued dedication and commitment that would ultimately prove to be another success for SPD. In the same vein, SPD must maintain cutting-edge technology by giving the officers the tools they need to perform their jobs. Because of this, Mr. Gardner frequently finds himself amidst recommending, evaluating, and implementing new tools for officers. In 2020, Mr. Gardner helped deploy the Springfield Police Department's first ever e-citation, e-crash reporting system, which required individual training and installation of not only the software, but the hardware department-wide. Of course, of all these major projects this fall, they fall in the lap of Mr. Gardner during a typical day. The day-to-day operations and support for the troops at SPD that Mr. Gardner shows is outstanding. Maintaining the operational readiness of the Springfield Police Department is always his top priority. His knowledge and skill level is consistently put to test, yet somehow he raises the bar every time. For this and so many other reasons, SPD is very thankful to recognize Michael Gardner as SPD's Civilian of the Year. Mike, would you please come forward? The next award is the Silver Suarez Award. The award is given to the uniformed police officer on active duty performing the most distinguished act of police work during the preceding year. On September 16, 2020, at approximately 22:50 hours, Lieutenant Joe Beal was monitoring a vehicle pursuit involving an armed robbery and kidnapping. The pursuit was terminated as the pursuing officer lost sight of the vehicle. As the commanding officer of the watch, Lieutenant Beal advised that if a vehicle was relocated, the pursuit would be authorized. The suspect vehicle was last seen in the area of 11th and Factory by Sangamon County deputies. Shortly thereafter, it was Lieutenant Beal who located the vehicle. Upon seeing Lieutenant Beal's squad car, the suspect immediately fled once again. Lieutenant Beal remained in the area and observed a white Chrysler approaching the intersection of Fairfield and Griffiths. This vehicle matched the suspect vehicle, and again the vehicle began to accelerate through the intersection in an attempt to evade officers. Lieutenant Beal verified the driver matched the suspect description and the passenger matched the description of the kidnapped female. Fearing the suspect would flee again, presumably at a high rate of speed, Lieutenant Beal accelerated his squad car, striking the front driver's side of the suspect vehicle, essentially disabling the car. Once the suspect vehicle was no longer to escape, the driver put his hands in the air and the female passenger began crying. Lieutenant Beal exited his squad car with firearm in hand, as the suspect was armed during the commission of violent felonies. Backup officers arrived on scene, and after several commands, the suspect exited the vehicle and complied with verbal orders. It was at this time that an empty pistol magazine fell to the ground. Additionally, a loaded firearm was found inside the vehicle. Lieutenant Beal not only made the difficult decision to authorize the pursuit of the vehicle, but then located and disabled the vehicle, rescuing the victim who had been kidnapped and assaulted by a violent offender. At this time, would Lieutenant Joe Beal please come forward? The next award is the William Herndon Award. This award is given to the plainclothes police officer on active duty performing the most distinguished acts of police work during the previous year. On January 10, 2020, Springfield Police, along with Springfield Fire Department, responded to 710 South State Street for a report of a fire. While extinguishing the fire and searching for victims, firefighters located a deceased female in the bedroom. Several detectives from the Criminal Investigations Division responded to the scene to assist in the death investigation. Due to the suspicious nature of the fire, an autopsy was scheduled for the next day. Detectives had already begun interviewing and canvassing the area when they learned from the autopsy that prior to the fire, the victim's hand had been tied behind her back and she had been stabbed multiple times. It was obvious detectives were not dealing with only an arson, but a homicide. Subsequent interviews with the family and friends provided few leads other than information that the victim had reportedly been followed by a male while walking her dog. The victim's message referencing that incident indicated that she was afraid for her life. Evidence from the scene indicated that the victim's debit card was not there. A search warrant was obtained and bank information revealed someone had attempted to use the card at 2 separate ATMs on the night of the homicide. Although digital images from these ATMs were obtained, the quality of images were not likely to aid in the identification of the suspect. Video surveillance footage was also obtained from several residents in the area of the crime. Several canvasses of the area led to countless hours of reviewing camera footage. 2 crucial camera angles were discovered. Footage from these 2 cameras revealed that the subject parking a light-colored SUV a block away, but facing the victim's residence. A shadowy figure could be seen exiting the vehicle. This coincided with the subject approaching the victim's residence from the alley. The subject was seen making entry into the home. Further review of the camera footage led detectives to believe that the vehicle was likely a 2007 to 2012 GMC Acadia. With the assistance from the Illinois Secretary of State, detectives were able to identify the driver of the vehicle. A cursory investigation of the driver revealed his previous behavior indicative of stalking individuals. Through cell phone analysis, detectives learned that the driver of the suspect vehicle was in the area at the time of the house fire. Approximately a month later, detectives were still pursuing leads and were able to tie the suspect to an armed robbery in progress at a local business. The now suspect in the armed robbery was later apprehended, leaving his residence and brought to the station for questioning. The suspect, Ronald Porter, was positively identified as being responsible for the armed robbery. The investigation continued as further analysis and interviews linked Porter to the following crimes: burglary, stalking, arson, 2 bank robberies, 4 armed robberies, and the homicide. Because of the diligent efforts by the Springfield Police Department detectives to pursue Porter on a multitude of open investigations, he was ultimately charged with the following offenses: 3 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated criminal sexual assault, home invasion, armed robbery, residential arson, aggravated stalking, aggravated cruelty to an animal, concealment of a homicidal death, obstructing justice, unlawful use of a credit card, and stalking. Ronald Porter has pled guilty to the above offenses. The gruesome nature of this case, along with the lack of initial leads, forced detectives to utilize progressive investigative techniques, ultimately removing this maniac from the streets of Springfield. I would ask that you please hold your applause until all names are read. Will the following members of the Criminal Investigation Division please come forward? Sergeant, then Detective Justin Spade, Retired Sergeant Ryan Sims, Detective Brian Harhausen, Detective Ryan Maddox, Detective Jason Sloman. Not present today is Detective Mike Mazrum and Detective Tim Zajac. The final award of the afternoon is the Porter Williams Award. This award is given only for a distinguished act of bravery or heroism by a member of the Springfield Police Department. On June 26, 2020, at approximately 11:03 a.m., Springfield Police Department officers were dispatched to the Bunomatic building at 1400 Adley Stevenson Drive for the report of shots fired inside one of the warehouses. As one can imagine, this type of call for service has the potential to be the worst-case scenario for all individuals involved, including the responding officers, who have been thoroughly trained in active shooters. Sergeant Barksdale was in the area of Bunn when the call for service was aired by dispatch, and he arrived shortly thereafter. He observed a female down in the parking lot who was suffering from a gunshot wound. An employee who was also in the lot advised Sergeant Barksdale that there were more victims inside. Additionally, the name of a possible suspect was provided. Officers Tammy Bear and Tim Ely quickly arrived on scene along with Sergeant Barksdale. The 3 made entry into the Bunomatic warehouse to look for the suspect and other victims. As they searched the warehouse and identified as A3, the team located 2 more victims down on the ground, also suffering multiple gunshot wounds. These victims were determined to be deceased. Multiple agencies began to respond to the active event to assist the Springfield police officers, including the Springfield Fire Department. Officers Chris Stout, Leroy Jett, Chance Warnisher, Darren Divjak, and Ted Stalix identified critical fire department personnel and formed Rescue Task Force team. The concept of Rescue Task Force is to make entry into a rapidly evolving situation with the intention of locating and rescuing victims from further violence. The RTF also entered warehouse A3 and began to methodically search for other victims. The team joined up with Sergeant Barksdale, Officer Bear, and Officer Ely, at which point they finished clearing warehouse A3. No further victims or suspects were located. It was later determined the suspect had fled the facility immediately after the shootings. Hundreds of law enforcement representatives responded to one of the most brazen incidents in the city's history, and we were willing to give their time and resources, knowing the danger that lurked just outside the warehouse. The bravery and dedication of these initial 8 Springfield police officers is absolutely remarkable. Without hesitating, they made a conscious decision to enter an unknown environment to stop an active shooter and rescue other victims. Their courageous officers put their lives above others, the lives of others above their own, and are more deserving of this award. Will the following members of the Springfield Police Department please come forward? Sergeant Grant Barksdale, Officer Darren Divjak, Officer Leroy Jett, Officer Tad Stalitz, Officer Chris Stout, Retired Officer Tammy Bear, and Retired Officer Tim Ely. Not present is Chance Warnisher. Will These award winners should be proud of their tremendous effort put forth in 2020. Keep in mind that every day that our men and women have the opportunity to impact the lives of those who they serve. Our mission is to serve and protect the citizens of this community with professionalism, representing what it means to wear the Springfield Police Department badge. At this time, I'd like to call forward Mayor Langfelder for some remarks.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you to all the award recipients. We can't thank you enough for the great service you do each and every day. And you're recognized for your special efforts that came forward, and it taught all of us the importance of the police department. But these past 18 months really showed all of Springfield, not just Springfield, all communities throughout our country, the importance of the police department, why I always say it's my favorite department. Because of the true bravery you have each and every day. You never know what today brings. You're always putting yourself out there to protect us. For your intelligence to be able to act at a moment's notice. What we saw happening across the country, we were blessed that it didn't happen here because of your intelligence and your ability to act at a moment's notice to make those smart decisions. And then thirdly, your selflessness. You are selfless in your responsibility to serve the general public of Springfield. There is no greater burden on any employee in the city of Springfield or any department than the police department. As the police departments go, so does the city of Springfield, as well as all communities. We try to give you all the equipment you need, the technology, but that cannot replace the men and women of our police force. That service goes above and beyond anything else. That's what makes you truly the best. And I'll measure our department up against any department in the country. And these past 18 months really showed that. So we really thank you for the job you've done, the job you continue to do, and what you will do in shaping not only this police department as we move forward in these unprecedented times, but most importantly, how you shape our community. And we cannot thank you enough for what you do for the city of Springfield and raising us up to the new levels that we all want to aspire to. So congratulations and thank you for your great service.
In closing, I'd like to thank all the men and women of the Springfield Police Department for their service, pride, and dedication, as well as the community and the mayor for their continued support of our mission. Today is about not just the award winners, it's about the officers who dedicate themselves to our profession, our department, and our community. It's about their willingness to go above and beyond on a daily basis. Additionally, I hope that next year we can return to the type of ceremony that all the officers deserve.